Welcome to Rialto Channel's Real Women podcast. I'm Francesca Rudkin. Throughout March and April, Rialto Channel is focusing on female actors and filmmakers who shine the spotlight on the talent and importance of the female perspective in film. In this podcast, local actors and filmmakers share their stories. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by the co-writers, directors and stars of The Breaker-Upperers, Madeleine Sami and Jackie Van Beek. Madeleine is well known for her show Super City, directing the second series of Funny Girls and starring in Sione's Wedding. Jackie recently co-created the television series Educators, starred in What We Do in the Shadows, has written and directed a collection of short films, and her debut feature, The Inland Road. Jackie and Madeleine join me now.
Hello to both of you. Thank you so much for your time.
A pleasure. Wonderful to be here.
Now, you've both acted in theatre, television and film productions. You've written and created your own work. You've directed your own work. You've probably produced your own work. You two make it look very easy to be successful in the New Zealand film industry. How easy has it been to get to where you are today?
The word easy wouldn't spring to mind if I was thinking about our career trajectory. The word fun would spring to mind. It's been super fun to work independently and together on all of our creative projects that I guess culminated for Madeleine and I in The Breaker-Upperers. But I wouldn't say it was easy. It took a lot of hard work.
It's never easy, but it's especially never easy for women, I don't think, to be honest. Definitely have a hard time.
What have been some of the challenges, Madeleine, as a female in the entertainment industry?
Some of them are internal. Some of them is just getting to that point especially for me, I kind of realised, I've realised in the aftermath of The Breaker-Upperers and everything we achieved with that, how little I kind of backed myself to do these things, because, we haven't necessarily had, I don't know, it's just never been when you don't see yourself reflected in those roles, traditionally, a lot more male directors and things like that, then I think, you sort of internalise a lot of doubt. So it really, I've sort of been looking back and how it's taken me, why it took me so long to, say, get into directing, what stopped me from doing that, and a lot of it's inside myself, and then, just not having those kind of, just having that little bit of self-doubt. What would you say, Jackie? You got into the directing side of it before me, for sure.
Yeah, well, it was quite, I grew up, after leaving high school in Wellington and started kind of acting, writing, devising, directing in theatre with a lot of my friends. So there was a lot of kind of solidarity and support there as we were just making terrible show after terrible show and putting them on to terrible reviews. And, it was fantastic, fantastic training ground. But it was interesting because I only moved in, well, I can't say it's interesting, I'll leave you guys to judge, but I got into filmmaking when I left New Zealand because I fell in love with with who is now my husband, who was living in Australia. And
congrats!
Thank you. Thank you, Madeleine.
Well done.
But so I guess I moved into filmmaking when I was 30, a bit later than other people, and started directing short films. But it was very much in a bubble. I was very much on my own in Australia. And the reason I started directing and making short films was because I had left all of my networks behind in New Zealand. So it was a very kind of isolating kind of bubble. But in many ways, in hindsight, I think that kind of protected me in a way, because I just had to do everything myself. And I never really thought about whether I was male or female. I just knew that I was quite old to be getting into it compared to all the 23-year-old geniuses that I surrounded myself with. But I never queried the gender thing, and I think that was great for me. It wasn't until moving back that I was like, wow, why are no other females directing here?
Yeah.
It's interesting, Jackie, I've heard you say before about acting that a lot of it is to do with confidence. Would you say that directing is the same?
I think think it is. And I don't think it means that you need to speak in a really confident voice and, speak loudly and be a leader. But I think you need to be confident in your own vision, and you need to be confident in your casting and selecting your key collaborators, the people that you surround yourself with, and be confident in those skills, that you have a good instinct for that, to back your instincts on the team you select, because then if you have a supportive team around you, you're going to stay confident, and you can inspire confidence in others as well. So I think confidence is a huge, huge issue, but I think people sometimes mistake it for just like leading in a kind of strong male way and raising your voice and making decisions quickly, which I don't do sometimes. Sometimes I'll take a long time to make a decision. Not as long as Madeleine. Madeline can take days to make a decision.
Sometimes you just got to go into a room, have a big cry, come out, and you've got a decision, Sometimes that's the way a woman needs to do it.
It is, though, isn't it? Like, and that takes real confidence to go, guys, I'm not sure what to do right now. Give me 5 minutes to chat to my actors. Everyone just go outside, go on Facebook, do whatever you want. I just need 5 minutes to kind of regroup. And I think that takes a lot of confidence to admit that you just need a moment. But I think that's like really key in making projects the way that you want to make them.
Yeah.
What are the pros and cons of collaborating with a friend on a project?
I think the pros are having a buddy in the kind of throughout the process of it. With the Breaker Uppers, for example, we were both, writing the film for a long time. Not full time, obviously, but it was, what was it, Jackie, about 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, we kind of wrote it over, part time over 5 years.
Yeah, and having a bud to be there with you, you share this baby in a way, and at times you both, you have moments where one of you might have more of an idea, more of an inspiration for it, and the other one might not. You can just hand it over for a bit, and you can kind of re-inspire each other on a project. Whereas when you're working on your own, it's often quite hard to keep that energy up and keep that passion for a project on your own. But when you've got someone to kind of bounce ideas off and share the burden with, it's quite good, wouldn't you say, Jax?
No.
You hate it. Fuck you! Fuck you, motherfucker!
You can't speak to me like that.
I do. Jackie's number in my phone since we've known each other has been Jackie Van Suckett.
Oh my God, is it still that?
It's just a very healthy irreverence I have for one of my very beloved collaborators.
Yes. No, I totally agree with Madeleine. Like the experience, we co-wrote and co-directed and then co-starred. So we were able to support each other right through that process. And like Madeleine says, filmmaking can get very stressful in certain periods. Even trying to get something financed and having those meetings or the script changes, casting decisions. But to have two of us, it just seemed to eliminate a bit of that stress. And I just remember in production, when we're turning up day after day, getting up at 5 a.m., if one of us was feeling tired or a bit glum or hadn't had a good sleep or had some sort of argument at home with their kids or whatever, we turn up, the other person can kind of buoy them up, but also take a little bit more of the load off their shoulders. Yeah. So you kind of get a sense of where the other person's at very quickly and how much you might need to. Yeah, it was really nice. I remember Madeleine went on a crazy diet during our pickups, and I had to rally around and get her a miso soup because she was looking like a zombie. You just sat down and didn't do anything. I was like, we need to get that woman fed.
I did a cleanse. That's right. I did like a 5-day no eating fasting cleanse, and on the last day of our pickups, I was allowed to eat, but the risk was eating something too much, so that all of my energy would have been used in the consumption of this food and the digestion of this food. So I was like, I cannot eat this beautiful food that the unit's providing. I need soup. Someone needs to get me soup or I'm going to die. Jackie
I organised that. I didn't get the soup because that's beneath me, but I got someone to get it.
No, you couldn't get it because you were directing the scene, probably.
Well, I would stare at my co-director. Yeah, that's right. It was too weak to get off her chair. I was like, this is not co-directing. This is not co-directing.
Oh, they were just pickups, man. They were just pickups. They weren't even like...
Well, I hope you at least felt better, Madeleine, after the cleanse.
Oh, you know what? The last day of a cleanse, the day after a cleanse is the worst day because your digestive system's all because you're trying to eat again. But yeah, no, I would never do that in a production ever again.
I appreciate you saying that, and I will remind you of this.
Yeah.
I will remind you of
it's
this.
just making me feel like doing a fast right now, just thinking about it.
We've got writing to do today, so don't start fasting.
We've got deadlines.
So what are you two working on then at the moment? What are you writing?
We are working, we're working on some very top secret projects, but we do have an exciting project that we're attached to, another Netflix project, which is really exciting. So we're doing some development work on that. And we've both got our independent projects here in New Zealand as well. So keeps us busy.
How important is diversity to you in your work and on your sets?
Very important, Francesca.
Extremely.
Very important. We were very, we were really conscious when we were making our film to have lots of women involved, lots of different races in the writing of our film. We wanted to really reflect the multiculturalism of Auckland. I'd say it's a very, the very core of what we do.
Yeah, I'd agree. On screen and off screen, trying to, just making sure that we're being contemporary and diverse and not being biased or prejudiced in any way. And I think, we constantly have to and constantly do kind of check ourselves, all the time in the writing and in the casting and in the, the collecting of key creatives. Are we,
are we representing?
Are
we representing? And what story are we telling here? And who? And do we feel like we're doing it properly? And are we getting enough people, enough diverse people involved? We think about that all the time because I think it's important as well. And it's also just exciting. It's exciting to think about. To me, I've always been, I've always wanted to share stories of things that we haven't heard before. And as women, our perspective is really represented in general in history, in terms in our industry and the stories that have been told for women, by women, about women. So there's so much that's exciting that hasn't been told yet. And now that we're actually being given the mandate and the the control and the money to make these films, it's important that we actually get out there and unearth these stories and tell them in our way.
Yeah, we were really lucky at the time that we were looking to finance the film. I mean, we were paired up with a fantastic team. Kathy O'Neill was our producer, and Taika Waititi, and so they had obviously really established themselves in the film industry. But we were, it was fortuitous because at that time the New Zealand Film Commission were very, very keen, and I think still are, at financing projects, directed by women, where women are filling these key creative roles. And, I do feel like we have kind of piggybacked on our male counterparts' success, and they've been very happy, to do that. And I kind of feel like it's kind of been necessary as well. But now we're able to, I feel like, people like Madeleine and I can stand up on our own 2 feet and say, we want to do this, we want to do it our way. And we have a little bit more autonomy. As women now. Do
you think you're trailblazers? I mean, The Breaker Upper, as you said, was written, directed and starred by women, and you had 2 female leads. Do you think of yourselves as sort of breaking the mould a little bit, or are you just kind of doing what comes naturally to you?
I think you're doing what comes naturally. I mean, we sort of wrote the film with ourselves, for ourselves, because we've always loved, we both come from an acting background primarily. So we wrote this story, wanted to write about women our age. We wanted to write it about friendship, women our age and their friendship, and a different kind of love that can sustain you, and not having to kind of feel bad about not being, having your life sorted out. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Trailblazers is. I think we were just writing from what we were interested in and what was personal to us and what we loved. and what we wanted to see and what we knew that we'd enjoy performing and acting. And then the directing kind of was a bit of a more of a last minute decision, wasn't it, Jax?
Yeah, well, when we needed to put the finance application in, you know, obviously you need to stipulate who's directing. And, yeah, I mean, we'd both been involved in Taika and Jermaine's What We Do in the Shadows as well. So we'd seen a very successful model of co-writers, directors and actors in that. And Taika always encouraged us as well. You know, he said, just direct it yourselves. Like, you know, you guys know the film the best. You guys know the characters. And it just made sense to us, yeah. So, and I wasn't sure how the Film Commission would react to that, you know, us putting ourselves in all roles, but they were hugely supportive. I mean, I guess they get to tick a lot of boxes, you know, so it's a win-win-win-win-win situation for us all. Lucky we pulled off a half-decent film, though. If it had been a failure, we would have failed for all women.
Yeah, no woman would have been funded for the next 26 years.
Oh, no.
There is a bit of pressure. There is a bit of pressure in terms of, like, it's so important to us that women are getting more and more opportunities. I do feel pressure that if we are given an opportunity, we have to make sure we do the best we possibly can with that opportunity to keep those opportunities open for others.
I mean, like, for me, in my life, in terms of inspiration and trailblazing women, like someone like Tina, like the women of SNL in the sort of early 2000s, like, you know, the kind of Amy Poehler, Tina Fey, you know, that sort of era of writer, comedian, actress was a real inspiration, you know, going into, you know, giving me confidence and going into this process with Jackie, because, you know, this woman were able to kind of really make their mark in a very male-dominated, you know, in a show like SNL, which has such a massive male-dominated history in the writers' room and on, you know, on the screen as well. So, like, they've been some really big trailblazing women that have inspired me and made me feel like, you know, if they can make their mark in that kind of place, and they did in such a massive way, you know. Tina Fey, I think, was the first female writer on SNL. You know, then I can too. So, yeah.
Yeah. Another woman that both Madeleine and I are completely besotted with, increasingly so, actually, is Julia Davis, who, you know, British, of course, who I first stumbled upon years ago when I watched her series. She teamed up with Rob Brydon and did a series, Human Remains. Yeah. And we are still increasingly kind of besotted with her. And so she's a real role model for us as well. So, you know, improvised, devised all of her crazy characters.
Thank you so much, ladies. That is absolutely brilliant.
A pleasure. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, nice to talk to you.